Everyone is telling you to start an AI business right now. You already know that, and you've probably watched 20 videos about it this month, but you've still got no clients, a folder full of prompts that you've never used, and no idea what you'd even sell someone. So what now? Now you can relax, because I've actually already built a one-person business myself, and I'm about to show you exactly how I did it. I'll show you the prompts I used to find the one thing that you can sell, build everything on screen for you, and the word-for-word close I used to turn strangers into high-paying clients. So you can start building a six-figure business in the next 30 days. But first, let me show you where this actually started and why it matters for what I'm about to break down for you. At the end of 2024, I decided, why not me? I had 158 followers on Instagram, no email list. I wasn't on LinkedIn, I wasn't on TikTok, and I had about 3K coming in from work that I had got through connections. I was growing, but I was nowhere near supporting my family. And now I have a multi-six-figure business as a solo founder. And I don't have a coding or technical background. I actually studied sociology and history in university. My background was in corporate admin roles in local government and the university sector. I have 2 kids, and I was the sole caretaker while my husband was working while I was building this business. And how I got my first client was a not-for-profit on a job finding website. I applied for that job and I automated their whole volunteer intake process, which at the time was nothing. So they were doing everything manually. And so I created this Google form and Google Sheet automation that automated that entire intake process, and that saved them around 10 hours per week. What that turned into, though, was the largest mortgage aggregator in Australia sliding into my DMs, asking me to train their team on AI. And what that resulted in was one of their team members left a few months later, and because they were equipped with AI skills, they were able to cover that gap without hiring someone for a few months. And the beauty of this was, because I was creating content, that led to inbound. So clients were coming to me via DMs. I wasn't out pitching people, trying to sell people. Because I was showing what I was building in public, people were starting to come to me for work. Now, I want to be really clear about this too. I was definitely very privileged in this because my husband was still the main breadwinner. And so we did have his income to rely on while I was trying to grow my business. And so what that allowed me to do, I guess, was experiment and focus on content creation alongside finding clients. But that doesn't change the outcome, because the whole point of that was that I started creating content and creating workshops before I felt ready. So most videos like this will hand you the strategy and then leave you to figure out what the hell you do next. So I'm going to break down every step of this process step by step so you can follow along and do this for yourself. And it's the same way that I've taught over 10,000 women how to do this. Okay, so the first step of this process is that we need to fix the order, because people are getting this around the wrong way. You will see lots of people telling you what to build first. Sell a digital product, a course, a membership, an automation agency. I get DMs about this every single week. But here's the problem with that stuff. It is a volume game. If you don't have an audience, it is going to be very, very hard when you're first starting out to actually create solid income from this. They only work when people already know who you are. So if we do the maths on a membership, so say we have 5 people paying $50 a month, that's like $250 a month. That is not enough to sustain you or your family or your life. But the thing is, that membership at 5 people requires the same amount of work at 150 people. I would actually argue that it requires more work at 5 people, because you are in there trying to create connections, trying to get engagement. Whereas once it's growing, that is a self kind of sustaining model where people are making connections, they're in there, they're commenting, they're not always relying on you. And it's the same with digital products. You need such a high volume for a low ticket offer, and you don't have traffic yet. So people quit not because the idea was bad, but they just don't have eyeballs on their product. So what actually works when nobody knows you is teaching workshops. So this is how I claimed my authority in this space. I didn't have testimonials. I didn't have case studies. All I had was the skills that I had learned through growing my own businesses and through my client work. I did this as free workshops first, and then that led into a paid offer. And the beauty of this is that this builds your email list when you're first starting out. It helps you build credibility because people get to see what you can actually do. And then it leads into an offer that you will get paid for. So if we think about how many reels someone would have to watch to actually know, like, and trust you, which is what you need for someone to want to pay you to do work, it's like 100 times of what a free workshop or webinar can provide. And so what we want to do is get people to spend that time with us. There are so many business owners out there who have never even opened ChatGPT or Claude for the first time. I ran a masterclass in a community of online business owners today, and they had never even created a skill. So what I want you to hear is that there is still opportunity out there to teach others how to use AI. And you don't need to be the world's leading AI expert. I am definitely not. You just need to be one step ahead and then teach them that path. And the other thing is that you already have the other half of this, and that is your expertise, your industry experience, even your life experience. If you couple that with AI, then there is a massive opportunity for you to become that industry's AI expert or AI advisor. And then so that plus AI is the offer right there. Start where you already have experience and knowledge and confidence. Now let me show you step one. You only need one sentence, which is who you help, what problem you fix, and what you want them to walk away with. And inside my membership, I've actually created a tool to help you do this. So you can just come over here, basically describe your world, who you help, your go-to. So what do people come to you for? And what is the annoying parts of your work, your industry that you know that AI can help with? And then you can just go here and then make your card. But honestly, you can just chuck this into ChatGPT or Claude and answer those questions. And so what you want to do is just really brain dump all of that. Literally voice noting into Claude is how you'll get the best output. I don't try and sound smart with this. I just try and have a conversation. I dumped in who I like helping, what I'm already good at, PS, you are good at something, and how I'm using AI right now. You can even get Claude to analyze your past chats to see how you're using it and what patterns are there and how you could create a workshop from that. Then you can just ask Claude, how do I make a workshop from this? What would the structure be? What am I teaching? And then the important bit here is you really want to argue with this. You want this to be a conversation with Claude. You don't want this to just be like, hey, make me a workshop. It's like, here's my stream of consciousness. Here's what I believe. How can we create something out of this? And then argue back and forth with it until you're happy with something that you know that you can just talk about forever and ever. And then you just really want to work on the promise too. You want to be really clear on something that people will see value in and pay for, and that it fixes a real problem. And so this is the part that I want you to understand too. Sometimes we think, oh, people won't pay for that. This is so easy. And it's actually that stuff that is your credibility, your expertise that you find easy that so many people actually really struggle with or find it really hard to do. So when you hit those parts, I want you to kind of trigger and be like, oh, that's what I'm good at. That actually probably comes harder for a lot of other people. And so I've created this prompt here. So it literally just says, I'm working out what workshop I could run and sell. I'm going to brain dump at you and it'll be messy. Don't tidy it up, summarize it, or give me workshop ideas yet. Ask me the 5 questions that would actually help you find the useful workshop hiding in there. And then here's this little dump that I've created to create these assets. So for this example, we're going to pretend that we're an event planner because I want you to see my experience and my path will apply to so many different industries. So this one is I've planned events for 12 years, corporate launches, private dinners, and a lot of weddings. What I'm unusually good at is hearing a messy inquiry and seeing the event inside of it. What matters to the client, what they haven't thought about, what belongs in the proposal, and what needs a conversation first. Proposals still eat half a day because every event is different, but the structure and judgment underneath them repeat. I've started using Claude to draft the first versions after teaching my services, process, boundaries, and proposal styles. Other planners keep asking how I make it useful without getting generic invented proposal back. I think I could teach that, but AI for event planners still sounds too broad. If we copy this and then paste this into Claude, so we can just start in the Claude chat for these ones, and then we will switch over to code to actually build some of these assets out. You can build most of this stuff with Claude and Claude Cowork now, but I find that Claude Code is just so much quicker at the actual building. So it's going to cook here and use this brain dump to help us create our first offer. All right, Claude has come back and said, who's actually asking you? Is it solo planners, agency teams? When they try it and get generic invented proposals back, what specifically does that look like? Is the teachable thing the mechanics or the judgment? So teaching Claude your services and processes is documented. Knowing what belongs in a proposal versus what needs a conversation first, it's 12 years of pattern recognition. What does someone leave building? A workshop set up drafting their own proposals by the end, or understanding of the method that they'll implement later. And then is the proposal the product or the doorway? And so for us, this will be the doorway. This would be a free workshop that would lead into paid services. Okay, and then so Claude has come back and said, teach Claude to write your proposals the way you'd write them in one afternoon using your actual services, prices, and boundaries. So the first draft is 80% there instead of invented. So as an event planner, you could be like, I'm going to teach you how to use AI to solve all of your admin. Do you spend hours writing proposals for clients? I'm going to show you how to use Claude to do it in minutes. So that's your one sentence. Now let me show you what to build around it. So the next part is slides for your presentation. And a lot of this you can do as a screen share too. We also need a page where people can sign up, a way to collect emails, because remember, this is about building our email list. We want to funnel people into a paid offer, but there will be people who don't purchase on that first time. And so we want to nurture them on our email list, a way to send them a few reminder emails. Okay, and so what you can do with Claude now is insane. I have built this deck with AI for our event planner, who's going to teach event planners how to do proposals using Claude skills. So all of this is just HTML that Claude has coded. So it's coded all of these slides that are on brand. And this is basically running through that whole brain dump that we've just talked about before. And so what you would do is go through with Claude and be like, here's the idea for my workshop. Here's what I want to cover. And when we're doing this, I want you to remember, especially for a free workshop, we just want 1 to 3 takeaways. We don't want to overload people. We don't want to give them the full buffet. We want to leave them wanting more so that then they're like, oh, okay, the next obvious step is working with you. And then once you've got that down pat, you can say to Claude, write this as a HTML branded deck. And you can even give Claude your branding assets here. So for these ones, we've just got all of our hex codes here. We've defined what the fonts are. And if you don't even have that yet, guess what? You can ask AI to help you out with that too. And then next up, we need a way for people to sign up. This is super important. And again, guess what? I've just built this with Claude. And so this is our turn your proposal process into a reusable Claude skill sign up. And so we need to collect people's first names, their email address. It's also good if you can grab their social handle and maybe just get a little bit of a temperature check of how they're using AI. So you could ask that too. And then you can just create this. If you have email marketing software such as Flowdesk, MailerLite, or Kit, you can actually create this in their systems, or you can get Claude to create this, and then you would just connect it to your email marketing software using a webhook. And again, guess what? You can just ask Claude to walk you through this now step by step, and it will help you do that. And if you use email software such as Kit, guess what? Their MCP actually lets you build a draft landing page. So all you need to do is come over here to this plus button and hit connectors, and then go into add connector, browse connector. So I use Kit. There's also MailerLite, so you can connect that if that's what you use. And then I literally just said, are you able to create a landing page in your Kit? In Kit with your Kit MCP. So that's how simple it is for some of these tools now. If you don't have an email marketing software that connects, then all you need to do is just jump into code, and we would copy in our branding colors here and just hit paste. And then we're just going to go to our assets here. So our sign up page. So this is it here, and our prompts to build that. It's got the brand colors and the text. And it's just basically saying here, build a responsive one-page registration site for this free workshop. It's going to be about the proposal skill. Going to define some page rules. So one signal red button, save my seat, name and email only, include this event is for you, and it says mobile first and accessible. So if we just copy this prompt now into Claude Code and hit paste and hit enter, and it's just going to code this for us. We can actually do this part in Claude Chat because it's just HTML. But if we want to actually connect it to our tools, it's a lot easier to create this in Claude Code. And then I'm actually going to show you, once this is finished, how you can connect this to something like Netlify, which is free. Okay, so while Claude's coding that, we just want to jump in and search for Netlify here. And then we're just going to sign up for a free account. Okay, and you'll reach a page like this, and you're probably just like, what the hell? Just leave that for now. And then we're going to come back into Claude and hit our plus button and go over to connectors and back to browse connectors. And then we're just going to search for Netlify. And it's here. So we're going to hit plus, connect to Claude. Then it's just going to ask us to log in to our Netlify account that we've just created. And we're just going to say yes to authorize this. And this just means that Claude and Netlify can now talk to each other. And if we just reopen Claude and come back in here to connectors, manage connectors, and search for Netlify, it's now connected. And so we can see here too, so all of the tools that are here. So we've got our read-only tools, which are, as they say, so Claude can just read things doing these. And then we also have our write and delete tools here. So it can import a Claude design from a URL, and it can deploy services. All right. And then we can choose here line by line if these need approval or if we're going to always allow. I'm just going to always allow these for now. And then when Claude's done coding, guess what? We can just push this straight to Netlify. All right, so here's what it's cooked up, and this is pretty good. And it's running through the whole 90 minutes, and this is the sign up here. So we could even say here, hey Claude, can you pop in a section for to capture their Instagram as well? And it's just going to make those changes for us. And what's really cool is it's fixing itself here. So it's picked up a couple of issues. So now it's just going to fix the scrolling issues as well and pop in that Instagram field here. If we scroll down, we can now see that as well. So now I'm going to ask it to connect to Netlify for us. Hey Claude, can you please connect this to Netlify and get this published? And so what you can see here is Claude is just basically checking that we've got the Netlify connection, checking that we're logged in, and then it's going to like push this out to Netlify for us because we've now set up that connection. Okay, so here it said Netlify CLI isn't installed. So it hasn't picked up that we've connected the MCP. But the really cool thing about AI now is that it's going to solve its problem. So now it's going to install the Netlify CLI and then it's going to get this connected to the Netlify forms for us. So again, we're just back on this authorization screen in Netlify, which Claude just opened for me. I'm going to authorize that now. And if we jump back in here. Okay, so that authorization has now come through and it's going to push this to the internet for us. Okay, this is actually live on the internet. Proposal skill workshop on Netlify. Amazing. And so it's writing this full website for us now. And then if we want to connect to our email marketing software, all we need to do is make sure that we tell Claude that we want these fields sent to either Kit, if that's what you're working with, or if you have an email marketing software that won't connect easily, we would then just create an automation with something like N8N or Zapier to send that data across. And again, it's as easy as just asking Claude, how do I do this? Walk me through this step by step. All right, so now we have a way for people to sign up for our workshop. The next thing that we need to do is remind people to show up to this thing. And so I've created this prompt here, which is write 4 plain text email reminders. 1 is the confirmation. So we want people to get a confirmation straight after they sign up. The next is the day before, an hour before, and then I even like to do one like right on. And again, with your email marketing software, you'll just be able to schedule these and we can just copy this prompt in here and we can just go back to Claude in chat for this section and just paste this in. So write this, here's my voice, and every email should remind them, and then paste that in, and then Claude's just going to whip up these emails for us. What you can also do is create skills for all of these. So that landing page that we made, we could then turn this into a skill. So every new landing page that we want to make, now that we've got our workshop idea, we could go /skill and run this Anthropic skills creator and just say, okay, great, now turn this into a skill. And it will run through this workflow and create these Netlify sites and deploy it to Netlify. And the same with our email marketing here. So we could create a skill and then just say, can you turn this into like workshop reminder emails? And then all you have to do is invoke this skill every time and it'll create those emails for you. And so here's some examples of what Claude and I created earlier. So this is our confirmation email. So it's literally just you're in, choose one real inquiry. So we want people to know what they need to prep for that workshop. And then we've got this reminder the day before, we start in an hour, quick Claude check, and then this one, we're live, bring the blank page, we're live now. You can also add some incentives for people to come, like no replay, or they get a bonus for attending live as well. That will push your show up rate up. So in my free workshops, I have about a 50% show up rate, which is pretty normal. Don't be discouraged if people you have 20 signups and only 10 people show up. That is normal and to be expected for a free workshop. So we've got our slides, we've got our landing page, we've got our emails ready. Now we need people to actually show up. So this can feel daunting. I get it. My first workshop had 2 people in it. And guess what? 2 people is fine. Those 2 women are still in my membership today. They are the OGs and I'm just so grateful that they backed me when I was first starting out. Okay, and now where do you look? Where do we find people to come and actually show up to this workshop that we've now created? So what I want you to do is just brain dump a list of people that you know. So again, because we're using our industry expertise, think of all of the people that you know who could benefit from the workshop that you've just created. So for our event manager, it could be venues who work with other event managers. It could be people that you know, people you've worked with, family and friends. And guess what? we have to hustle when we're first starting out. So I want you sliding into DMs, reaching out to people saying, hey, I'm running this free workshop. You'd love it. Do you want to come? Can you send this to someone who you think would benefit? Can you share this on your stories? These are all the things that I did when I was first starting out. I literally was asking people to just share it with people who could benefit. And if people say no, that like, oh, actually, I can't make it, then you say, okay, cool. Do you know someone who would benefit from this or who would like to come? Can you pass that on to them? And some people will just say no or ghost you. Guess what? That's all part of having a business. The other underrated place is Facebook communities. So you can post in there. Some of them are a little bit funny about self-promotion, but if you're running something free, often you'll be able to post. Also, local community groups on Facebook. So if you are local, you can be like, hey, I'm running this workshop on AI for event planners, and post the link in for the sign up as well. And so here is the part that nobody does, and it is so underutilized right now. There is such a huge opportunity here, and it's local. I partnered with local business chambers last year, and you can do the same. Guess what? You get in front of a captive audience of small business who are like, we have no time to learn AI, but we know we need to. And then they are often going to be like your first clients because you've just spent half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour with them, teaching them about AI, and then they're going to want you to come and help them with it. And so what you can also do is get Claude to help you. So jumping back into Claude, we just would open it up and ask it to find relevant businesses in the area that could use this workshop that we've created. And so when I was first starting out, I did not run a single ad. So all of my business has been built on organic reach. So that is reaching out to people, posting on all of the channels, and also local business. The other opportunity that you do have is leveraging other people's audiences. So can you think of people who are further along than you, but in a different niche, and you could use their audience to teach? Okay, so now we've managed to find some signups for our workshop. How do we actually make some money from this? So no one wants to show up to a workshop and it just feel like this full sales session, especially when we're teaching something like education. We're literally saying, I'm going to teach you something. So do not then turn this into a sales webinar. That doesn't mean you can't sell, but we want to provide value and then sell at the end. And so how I say this is, at the start, we've got our slide deck here, we're presenting, right? And then at the start, I always just like to have a temperature check. So I'll ask people like, how are you currently using AI? How do you feel about AI? Just so I can get a gauge of where people are at. And then I just say, I'll let you know at the end ways that we can work together, but let's dive into this right now. And then what that does is it just clears the air. People aren't like, oh, am I going to just get sold to? And it also relieves your nerves, particularly if you're not very comfortable with selling yet. And then you can just get into the flow of the workshop. Okay, there are like a million ways that you can learn how to close. So Hormozi does this so well. One of the ways that we can do this is basically say to them that you have built one skill, and basically they have ticked off 3 of these things. And then to complete this journey to becoming AI proficient or having AI help them in their business, they need to do these extra steps. And guess what? These extra steps are working with you. So here, this is choose a repeatable task, tick, we did that today. You turned an event judgment into clear rules, tick, did that with me today. Build and test a proposal skill, tick, did that today. Guess what? AI can help you in your event business in so many more ways than just one proposal skill. That's why I created the Event Business AI Kit, and you can get that here for $1,200. And then so it's like these 2 steps are remaining to kind of close out the loop. And you'll find that when you walk people down this path, then they're like, oh, sweet. Like instead of saying you have all of this ahead of you and then they feel really overwhelmed, what you've done is led them halfway or 3/4 of the way down the journey, and then they're like, oh, okay, it's an easy yes now for the rest of this. And then another thing that I have tested in the last 18 months to 2 years of doing these is that bonus beats discount. We don't want to discount our services. We just want to provide more value. So using fast action bonuses. So if someone signs up in the next 48 hours, they get bonus skills, things like that work really, really effectively in turning people into paying clients. And then after the workshop, what we want to do is ask people for feedback. You can also make something fun. So you can say, tag me on Instagram if you found this helpful, and maybe you can throw them in a free skill or something to incentivize people to actually share. And then that will get more people to talk about you and sign up to your next one. The other thing that you want to do is once this workshop is running, like literally have Claude on a routine to change this sign up form from like today when you're running this workshop to pick a date 6 weeks out. So people get FOMO. They're like, damn, I missed the workshop today, but they have a way to sign up for the next one. So you're not kind of losing out by not having something ready. We want this like on a rolling schedule. And then the other emails that you want to send are the replay. If you're going to offer that, you can ask for a testimonial in that email as well. Bonus reminders. So we want those sent out like on a countdown. So you can be like 24 hours to go, and then it could be 12 hours. And then you might even do one with like 2 or 1 hours left to try and just get people to move. What I want you to do is also practice the close word for word. This does get easier, but even if you just need to write it down and then read it out a few times before the workshop, this will help you with that confidence to then just present that. And the really cool thing about AI is then you can give Claude your transcript and it can give you feedback so you can improve on the next workshop and the next close as well. And so finally, without selling into our paid offer, I undercharge for like a year. So let me save you that year right now. When I had my first free workshop, I did a consulting call. I started at $280 for 90 minutes and I had all of this extra stuff that I would do. So it was not profitable at all. And then I raised it to $400. It was still not profitable and I still had way too much stuff in there. And then I raised my rates to $1,200 and I was working with my business advisor and she's like, you need to raise your rates. And I was like, okay, I will do this because you have told me. I did not think that anyone would pay that. And guess what? The next week, someone booked in for a consult and that became my new baseline. Now my consulting work is $3,000 and above. Once we get experience and confident testimonials, case studies, we can start to raise our prices. And this is how you can create a 6-figure business by doing this. And nothing changed between that $400 and $1,200 offer. In fact, I stripped some things out of that. It was only that I was willing to put that price up there and people then said yes to it. And what I want you to remember with this too is often if people see a price and it feels cheap, they will undervalue that. That is just sales psychology. Whereas if we put it up higher, people are like, oh, that must be good. And also, it means that you only have to find one client at $1,200 versus 3 clients at $400. And consulting really is where the money is at the start. And people will say one-to-one isn't scalable. But if you have a really solid offer and price well for it, then you will get paid well. And you don't need volume to make this work, which is the whole point of doing it in this order. So pick your number and then add to it. Okay, now in terms of content, I posted 3 times a day for over 12 months to grow my audience before anything took off. And I still had a 6-figure business when I had no audience. And I want to tell you this, content isn't going to be how you get your first client. It's how like the 100 next will find you. And so what actually worked was showing what I was building. So not just talking about what I had built, like literal screen shares, like, hey, here's what I built. Here's how I onboard clients, all of that. And so I was just solving problems in my own business and then showing other people how to do it. And that is literally what this whole play is. We want to use our expertise with AI and then show others how to do it too. And so what doesn't work is saying things like, you're only using 20% of Claude. People are just like, that means nothing to me. I want to see what is actually happening. I want to see what someone can actually do. Particularly now in the age of AI, people can just make all of these claims. And so people really want to know, are they legit? And again, this is why workshops work really well, because it's an opportunity for you to spend an extended period of time with people and can actually show them like, yeah, I do know what I'm talking about. And here's how. Again, I had 2,000 followers in January this year. So I went from 158 last year to 2,000 this year, posting 3 times a day. And I was like, damn, is this even working? But I was getting good quality leads from TikTok, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And also it was working because then eventually I had my first viral reel. And guess what? I had all of this work there showing like, oh, she hasn't just started doing AI stuff a couple of weeks ago. I had all of this content to show that I was legit and had been working in this space for a long time. So post the work, not just the opinions about the work. That is key, and it will compound. You just have to not quit. And so these are the mistakes that I see people making all of the time. And if you avoid these, you will see success in your business much faster. Okay, so don't launch a membership yet. And definitely don't launch a free membership. Do you know how much maintenance that requires and you're not getting paid for it? So one of 2 things will happen. You will spend all of your time nurturing that free community and no one's going to upgrade, or like a few people will upgrade and it won't be enough to sustain you. Or 2, you will have to go looking for other work and you won't have time to maintain that free community. And guess what? That free community is just going to fade out. I also don't want you to build a course for the same problem. And also, AI is moving so fast. If you create a course, it's going to be dated in about 3 weeks at this point. Don't wait until you feel qualified. No one is going to give you a badge saying, yes, you've done enough to have a spot in this space. You need to claim that and know that you will never feel ready. Never discount. Bonus always beats a discount, okay? We want to add more value rather than discount our prices. Don't give 3 offers at the end of our workshop. We want to give them just one clear step. Yes, you can downsell them behind the scenes later, but for the workshop, we just want to funnel people into a path. And then if they go through that whole sales funnel, all of the emails, and they still don't purchase, you can reach out to them and be like, hey, I've actually got this skills pack for $200. Are you interested in that? Or whatever it is. So we can have some downsells if they don't purchase, but we don't want to give them a buffet because guess what? They won't choose any. And so I also want you to remember with AI, don't chase every new tool. You will not be able to keep up. We just want to get good at 1 or 2. And again, this comes back to solving real problems in your own business and then teaching others how to do it. Rather than like getting shiny tool syndrome, focus on learning Claude Code or Codex. And as the models change, you will just adjust and just learn the next iteration of what these agents become. Also, don't get stuck in strategizing with AI. So when you run that prompt asking for the workshop idea, I do not want you to get stuck in going back and forth. What I see so often is people using AI for business strategy and then end up more confused than when they started. Once you've got that one line, don't overthink it. Start building your landing page, start talking about your offer, and you can go from there. And do not quit at 2 people in the room. Do not quit at 0 people showing up for that free online workshop. Guess what? Just present it, like you had people there. And then you've got an asset. You can put that on YouTube, you can cut it up for shorts, and you practice the muscle of presenting to people. And then you go out and you act like you had the best workshop ever, and you talk about it, and you get people to sign up for the next one. That's literally where I started. So that's the whole order. Your one sentence, your workshop built in an afternoon, a room full of people, either in person or online, and the close that turns them into paying clients. And I want you to hear this properly. You already know more than most business owners out there. You don't need another course. You just need to run one workshop. And if you want me with you while you do this, I would love to have you in my community. It's where I show up every day, and it's full of women doing exactly what I've just walked you through. Some of them have fully replaced their income, and one made $10,000 from a single training. The link's down below. And if you're not ready for that yet, watch this next one. It's where I break down how I've automated my social media to scale it to over 40,000 followers on Instagram and 75,000 across my channel with Claude Cowork.